This is just AMZN for Friday, May 21st, 2021. Take a look at the 5-minute here. Friday opened up with a really nice high wave candle right below our 32.48.95 line. Broke down with a strong candle, retraced for 25 minutes, right back into the 21, rolled over again with some bearish candles, rode the 5 down. You had some lows that were similar through here, and we retested here, again here, and again here, almost to that level. Really, we stayed below this high wave candle. So we broke down once and then retested, broke down again, retested, broke down again, retested, and broke down. So a number of plays here going off of kind of the 32.15 area. Zoom out and see what could have caused that. I guess it was kind of the area that we had broken out from back on Wednesday. You know, this same price here, that was really where we were coming into a close, and then we just started to move up. So we were kind of right back into this area. Retesting here is the kind of opening highs from Wednesday as well. Other than that, it didn't really run into the 21. But the bigger, the bigger move of the day was getting into this either at open or on this retracement right around 9 o'clock. If you had done that, there were some really great candles right near the 21 here, some really small candles on the 32.10 put, some really nice small, less than $1 range candles, really getting these set up. Kind of worst case scenario would have been 3 by 2. So a stop limit of 3, a stop at 2, and looking for an 8-hour target up at 11. And that would have filled on this candle here, which is, yeah, this, no, I had this zoomed right. Oh, you know what? We may be missing some 5-minute candles because it got a little lighter later in the day. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. This would have filled here on this candle. Okay, no, I just am looking at the wrong thing. There we go. So getting on these candles down here, and it runs up to this candle. Okay, now it's matching up. I first glanced over here, it was saying this candle. That's not right. Okay, would have filled on this candle here for 11, and then these retracements, they retested kind of this earlier high. That's a little bit more than $1 range on this one. This retracement, put in a small candle here, $1 range on this one, did not move to an 8-hour target. And then this retracement here late in the day, this was almost an absolute zero. No, putting a low around 2, a little below 2. Really nice small candles though, all the way around. So this was a great place to be getting in, like 250 by 150. Just basically bracket this candle for a breakout. So stop limit at 250 would have filled at open of this candle, and a stop at 150, and looking for 1050 as the target for 8 hours. So this middle one would not have really worked. You could have had a small range, which worked, but definitely would not have gotten to a new low, would not have pushed up to anywhere near an 8-hour trade. And then this one also. So this level here, going from this low, so the low is 620 up to the high of 15. Yeah, that would have been an 8-hour trade, but why would you have bought this low? I would have been looking for a move back up into the 21. So I would have missed this one entirely. And again, this is looking at the 32.10 put. If we're out a little further at the 3200, it gets a little more difficult to get the 8-hour moves. You had the nice small candles here, but they were a little too small. And I mean, even though you could have gotten into this, let's say you bought this 2 by 1. Your target is 10. It only went up to 8, and then it pushed back up to 8 again. At this point, you probably, like after this retracement, you probably would have brought your target back down to 8, and it would have filled over here. It's like, well, why didn't I just get out for you know, at 8, not an 8-hour trade. So that would have been a 6-hour trade that you would have been until over here. And then late in the day, this would have been an absolute zero. You could have gotten into 2 of these at $1 or at 50. No, at $1. The low was 48. So you probably would have gotten into one of these at $1 for an absolute zero, and then just kind of scalped out when it ran back up into this pivot, like 3. So that only would have been a 2-hour move. So the 3200 didn't really move that great. Oops. The 3225, that was a lot better, but the range of the candles was harder. So this was $1.25 on this candle. So the candles that were nice and small coming into the 21, those still would have worked here. But you would have been buying on this candle on this pullback. And even if you bought the low, 490, the open low was 370. So that's a little bit more than $1 range. You're really risking that it's going to hold the 21 and it's not going to push back up to this line. And if it does, you're out, you're stopped out. So that would have been, I don't want to say the gamble there, but that would have been just the stretch of that risk with the 3225. Otherwise, you're somewhere between 3210 and 3225. If the 3210 was a little too far away or didn't look right, and you had a little bit of time to make that decision, you had like a good 10 minutes here to decide, okay, if this comes into the 21, what option am I getting into? I would have liked to get an option that has the same open low as that pullback. Let me just zoom in on this because it's really hard to see. Okay, so 309 here. I guess you could have done 4 by 3. That's a little, I'm not crazy about that one either. And then the 3215, low of 3. I like this better, 3 by 2 here. That would have worked. But you would have had to be filled on this candle. So this would have been like 350 by 250 to get the low, or to get the stop below the 250 over here. So that would have been 350 by 250. That would have run up. That would have had a nice move. Would have been hitting a target on this candle. And then, I mean, it still didn't get as far back down. And then we're back at the 3210 already. So I think the 3210 had kind of the best price that held the low. So the low, it almost came back down to the same low. That's what I'm trying to say. So we had a low of 208, we had a low of 226, and a low of 230. So you were very close with this low, and I'd be comfortable, setting this up with a stop at 2, or even a little bit lower, like getting into this, 250 by 150. So, and then that obviously had the run that we just talked about. Ran up to 1050 really easily here. This candle, or if you had gotten in 3 by 2, then it ran up to 11 on this candle. So, but that's just what I was going through. Obviously, in hindsight, trying to figure out which of these. It's pretty easy to switch back and forth, between the puts and to look at those to see what could have worked out. But if you're watching it live, you want to see it hold a similar low here. This candle puts in a similar low. It's a little bit of a higher low. This candle, as this is forming, it's got a low that's similar to this one. So I think this gives you your best support, the 3210. And then ultimately pushing down here to get in the money. The low of the day was 31.9701. So you had an opportunity to even hold a little bit longer. The Friday's setting up an 8-hour target, holding through a pullback. I mean, if you feel like it's going to be able to have the continued move, at this point, this was filling in this candle. That was 25 minutes of selling here. And it seemed like it was overdue for retracement. or maybe not overdue, but I'm still expecting this to come down to 31.42, 33. I think we've got that much bullish coiling here. I'm sorry, bearish coiling here. We went sideways for so long on Thursday, such a small candle. Here we are breaking down. Like I said the other day, breaking down from this kind of a flag. We had a bearish engulfing candle this day. Between Thursday and Friday, we've now made lower high and lower low. I think we have a little further down to go. Maybe not a little. But I was thinking if we retraced into the 21 earlier, we could have just sold off. Like this was still really sideways. We didn't have a huge move other than that first hour and a half. The rest of the day was just sideways. So that's still a lot of coiling. And really, I think we just keep going down some more. Didn't even talk about the calls. They just lost value. they didn't do anything really. I had this zoomed out here, getting things set up just for the video. It's like, wow, you can't even see the prices in here. It's like, oh, that's all the way at 10. So I just set this up to look at, oh, well, where could you have been in those retracements? That one lost value, this lost value, it ran up. There were some opportunities to buy here. You got on the put, on the 32.10 put, you had a high here and a lower high here and a lower high here. And so at this point, that's a nice high wave candle. On this candle, you could have been looking to go bullish with the call, 32.10 call. I like getting to the same strike on a Friday. Doesn't always work out. I think the volatility was just right today that it did. And, when you could see that the 3200 put wasn't going to be that strike and the 3225 wasn't going to be that strike, somewhere in between. And, narrowing it down based on these candles, you could have set this up all day, 3210, looking at these options all day long. Look for those small ranges. So this candle had a range less than $1, $1.51, $1.02, and set up, okay, what could I have traded here? How could I have traded this? It's the third, well, it's the second lower high, but it's, a high, lower high, lower high. What's going to happen here? Am I going to continue to push up? Is this going to roll right here? And it very well could have. I think bouncing a little bit off of 3,200, a nice round number like that, I think that's fine that we did that. Obviously we did, but it gave you a little bit of an opportunity to buy. So let's just say you set up a trade to get in. Let's see, what could you have set up? I guess 450 by 350. If you had done 450 by 350, the target would have been 1250. Didn't reach that. That would have been the previous high up here. That would have meant some strong bulls are coming in, and we would have been retracing probably back to 3225. That would have been a lot of strength. So the fact that you had this bullish candle come in, a small high wave candle here, didn't even look like that on the 5 minute. We're pushing up and we get above this high on the 5 minute Amazon and didn't get anywhere near, well, we got up here, but we didn't get close enough on the call. That means we just lost a lot of value already. And it's time to get out on this candle or when it's going sideways up here. And so that would have been getting in at, what did I say, 450 and getting out at 10, probably, well, possibly 1050, but probably 10. So that would have been 450 to 10 is 5.5 hours. And then flip, let it come back down and, flip here, or at least not be in it for a little while till it gets to be later in the day. I love these end of day sell-offs. Didn't get this one, but this was a really great setup here. I really wanted it to break down here and go bearish. And the fact that it pushed back up again, it's like, it's kind of going the wrong way. Well, yeah, I wanted to go bearish here, so it went bullish. It's like, okay, that's not the setup I'm looking for. But it did take the value down a little bit further here. but gave you another great setup with very similar prices to over here, but it took out that $2 low price we talked about earlier. It's really interesting. I'm gonna take a look at this some more and see if we have an early low and we stay well above it, and then if we come back at the end of the day and take it out slightly, if that's a good base or a good buying point. So like our stop of 2 became our entry at the end of the day, 2 by 1. You know, so just move it down by $1 basically from what we had earlier today. I'm going to do some more looking back at setups to see if that's something that can actually play out on a Friday, because I mean, if it does, if we can find the right setup for a trade, I don't know how much it's going to, but it needs to have something where it sells off, recovers some, or at least goes sideways, and then has a sell off in the end of the day. But if we get some more bearishness coming in, we'll probably be out at like the 3,100 put and the 3,300 call to start out Monday to see how things move. But we'll see. We'll see what those values are, if we can hold in this area a little bit. If we gap up and start out like an inside candle, or if we have any sort of retracement up here, I'll be looking for another kind of rollover. But if we do gap up and hold it, we're just a little bit up off of this line. It could be a different kind of pattern for me here. This is starting to look like an inverted head and shoulders at this point. Like if I go out to an hourly, I think I saw it. Yeah, so out here, so this looks like a little more of an inverted head and shoulders. So here's a shoulder, a head, and a low. Comes down a bit more for a shoulder here, and it really does have to get going bullish to form the rest of this right shoulder. Your neckline is at an angle here. So your neckline cuts through here and through here. So your neckline is this way. So we got to get up to probably 32.75. And then that's our decision point of an inverted head and shoulders. So that's what I'm seeing on a little bit of a bigger time frame. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, hope this helps. This is Just AMZN. Thanks.